works as a hairdresser and she's married. But she doesn't want to be a typical housewife. The, set, the story is set in the 80s. She wants to discover herself, learn everything, and change inside. Her tutor is Frank. An open university brings them together where they interchange literature and their personal lives, growing an intimate relationship. Rita is a developing character. She not only develops her education but also her critical thinking impressively through the scenes. In other words, in the last scenes we can appreciate it a new Rita totally different to the first one at the beginning of the play. First of all, we have to keep in mind that Susan is Rita because she changed her name to writers Rita Mae Brown. In my opinion, she is not only educated but also intelligent. But the argument of the story is that she feels like a dead ignorant person with a mind full of junk. So she doesn't feel educated as she would like to be. I think she has a particular intelligence. Her personality seems as a person who, since her girlhood, hasn't had the opportunity to study in a good context. So she wants to change this situation now. This is the reason why she enrolls in an open university. Secondly, Rita's biggest change is the essays she writes periodically, and Frank evaluates them. The first one is Ruby Fruit Jungle, which Frank finds it rather unsatisfactory. But Rita saw something special in Frank as an educator that she wouldn't find in another teacher. So she doesn't want another person as her tutor. As Rita mentions in one of her lines, you are a crazy math piece artist who wants to throw his student through the window, and I like you. On the other hand, it's important to bear in mind the characteristics of Rita's character starting her education at the Open University. She is foul-mouthed, talkative, distracted, curious. However, her most important characteristic is not only the determination but also the passion for learning. This will help her to come to her aim. As regards her education, one of her learning is about criticism. Frank tries to teach her to be objective because, according Frank, her first essay was an appreciation, a scripted piece. Frank tells her that in criticism, sentiment has not place. So, this is one of the first skills that the character has to develop in her education. Because if she's going to pass any sort of exam, she has to be into discipline her mind. A couple of days after, Rita is not only well into her course but also begins to read more widely. For instance, she reads 3 novels in a week. We can see evidence of her intelligence in her responses to what she is reading. At this point of the story, Frank teaches her to be selective, becoming discerning in her choice of reading material. Furthermore, not only literature has an important role in Rita's education, but also the theater. Rita discovered in the theater a passionate world. For example, she watches a Shakespeare play, which inspires her to write an essay. What's more, as a consequence, she buys Macbeth books and needs to talk to someone who would understand. And quickly she looked for Frank. So she understands a tragedy based on Macbeth. Additionally, she wants to go to an art gallery. At this point of the story, we can see how the character of Rita continued developing. She needs to know new plays, expand her culture, reads literature with a great degree of abstraction, and discuss it with people who enrich her understanding. Consequently, important facts that are decisive in Rita's life are her divorce and the summer school in London. Rita makes important decisions that determine her future. She's the new one, she can go back and she must continue her education. After London, she looks like a different person having a new life with a new flat and flatmate, holding literary conversation with different people. However, another important change is that she left her job as the hairdresser. Finally, the last relevant fact in her education is the independence of her tutor Frank. At this point of the play, Rita has learned a lot. She reads what she wants to read and understand by herself. What's more, she doesn't need Frank all the time, who gets jealous and loses her objectivity. And in this point where Rita reminds him when he taught her about criticism where sentiment has no place. To conclude, Rita's character was pacing for different moments to come to her aim of being an educated person. From this lady's hairdresser, Falmouth, who one day made her first essay and learned about criticism and then began to read more widely, to the one who visits theater and art gallery until one day she came to a summer school in London. And finally, she taught her own teacher about to be objective. This is who the character of Susan White Rita was developed.